What we do is we solve a problem. The problem we identified about 2 or 3 years ago, that entrepreneurs can quickly get very frustrated with either sales or traction. That frustration causes them to become unhappy, obviously a state of mind, but most importantly, they start to lose their passion. Now, if they lose their passion, they lose their leadership. And if they lose their leadership, they lose their business. So coming at it in a slightly different way, what we needed to do was identify how they thought. So what we've done is we've been working with some academics and some empirical evidence that suggests that there are key traits in which we can identify behaviour which is apparent in people who become successful by being entrepreneurs. On the left-hand side there you'll see one called working downhill. Now the thinking behind that unravels the general thinking of most entrepreneurs is when they have a unique value offer, something that differentiates what they do against the competition, because why would you be an entrepreneur that didn't, right? Most entrepreneurs, we saw in their thinking, would expect to sell that to everybody and anybody that they possibly can. Wrong thinking, for reasons I'll come to in a moment. The right thinking is to think about the easiest place to sell it. The uncontested market space, the space in which you can find people who immediately value the solution that you're offering, and the people who can pay for it. Most important, because if you concentrate on that area, you will get quicker sales traction, you will cap the burn rate of your cash, which is critical, you will not alert your competition too early, because if you've got something unique, your competition will get to know about it, and obviously you continue to an extent to test trade. That is a big benefit to most people, because most people will rush at it, burn their cash, don't get the sales at the price that they need, and I don't need to tell you what happens because the statistics will back me up. We would of course be delighted for any aspiring entrepreneurs or existing entrepreneurs to come along and talk to you for about 90 minutes and take you through the awareness of these particular coaching platforms. And we run a very unique fee contingency agreement related to profit share. So we will take you on if we think it's right and we can do something to add value to your entrepreneurial journey.
The blue line was the first estimate from the current government as to how soon they were going to start to repay government debt. That was revised to the pink line 6 months later and is the current forecast. Now, I've studied economics for a number of years and there is a technical term for this. It's a bit of a pickle that we find ourselves in as a state. So if you were hoping that the government is going to look after you in your retirement and provide all the income that you need, then I'm sorry to say you are mistaken. I was at a conference yesterday where there were some really quite frightening statistics. The number of centenarians in our country, in other words, those who receive a card from the Queen, it used to be a telegram, but she sends cards now, and I think she's going to have to give up. Because in 1917, when this first started for our current Queen, there were 24 cards were issued to centenarians during the course of the year. In 2010, it was over 12,000 centenarians during the course of one single year. And the projections are that by 2034, it'll be over 87,000 people will become 100 years old. Now imagine if we were going to cross the North Sea by ferry or by sailing boat. In fact, why not use the Kingsfleet sailing boat? Now let's cross from Felixstowe Ferry to the Hook of Holland. It's really easy, isn't it? You climb in the boat and you just sail due east. You don't need to do anything, surely. Well, financial planning is very much akin to making that journey on a boat. It's very good to just get on board, but actually you need to have regular checks about what you're doing. So if we were going to make that journey, what questions would we ask? We'd be asking, where are we now? Where are we going to go? And how are we going to get there? And that really is akin to the three questions that we would ask with financial planning. And I would ask each of you to ask this question of yourselves right now. The first thing is, how much do I have? If I said, how much do you have in your current account, in your savings account? What if you added all of your investments together and your pensions? And what if you worked out all your liabilities? Would you know right now how much it comes to? And then, of course, the final question that I just raised was this: how much do I need? And that will depend on what you have. It depends how long you want to work for. It depends what assets you already have in place. You may have a second home that you rent out. You may have a really good company pension scheme. It might be that you've got some fantastically performing investments. But the key thing is, it's not about products, it's about planning. And too many problems have been caused in the past by people who have been sold a product. We don't sell products, we put together planning opportunities for clients and work with them. But finally then, how do you get there? And we use a form of cash flow modelling, where we input the amount of money that someone needs, and then we work through how much they need to then invest on a regular basis or put to one side in order to prepare for their retirement, whenever that might be. But just think of it this way: if you've got 20 years until you retire, and over those 20 years you pay yourself every month, you've got 240 paydays left to prepare for that retirement. So there's no point putting it off till next month. There's no point putting it off till next year. It's something that you need to take some action with now.
Social media, I think a lot of us over the last few months have been bombarded with information about how beneficial it is to have social media in your business. But how many of your businesses actually have a formal social media policy in place? What is a policy? Well, a policy is a guide, it gives direction, it helps people to understand what they can and what they can't do within a business. It should be used to guide the decision making within your business. So when you sit down as managers, as staff, when you're deciding what you're going to do with regards to marketing or finance, it is your policy that gives direction and helps you with the decision making process. There are these fantastic sales channels available to us as small businesses, channels like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all fantastic, cost-effective ways of promoting your business. And many people I speak to have got very caught up in the excitement, and they've logged on and they've got their account in place, which is fantastic. But without a guide, without policy or principles in place, you can be vulnerable to actually falling foul of a number of different factors. A lot of your employees will already be using social media anyway, whether you have a formal company account in place or not. And that's a real issue to consider, because they could be passing out information about your business, about individuals in your business, which you may not have had a chance to see or vet. The other challenge for us all is that social media is very, very fast. And you can send something out, you can send a tweet out on Twitter with very little thought and consideration, and sometimes the message comes across and it's bang on, sometimes it doesn't, and you've got a problem as a business. And this is the sort of problem that can occur. Apple fires an employee over iPhone, Facebook rants, giving negative feedback about a product, which the company obviously hasn't been able to control that information, and it's gone out and it's resulted in a problem. Nashville Fire Department employee gets fired after a derogatory online post, and there's lots of examples like that. I'm sure if you read the press, you'll have heard stories of people posting stories on Facebook about their terrible manager, and that's an issue for you as businesses. There's plenty of case study material here, but it's also easily avoided if you have a proper, thought-out policy in place. So what can we do as businesses? Well, first and foremost, we can set rules for our employees. This isn't designed to be Big Brother, it's to give guidance and to help them to understand what an appropriate use of social media is within a business context. We can give them training and support so that they understand what they say and what is passed on in the marketplace should reflect well on the business. The sort of rules you could put in place: don't share company financial secrets. That sounds a bit obvious. Be respectful, again a fairly sort of simplistic one, but be respectful of race, religion, sexual orientation. These are things that people need to consider when they're actually using social media on behalf of your organisation. Be honest and transparent. If you're giving your own views on Twitter or Facebook, then you must say so. And a lot of people do this, but again, a lot of people don't. They'll make a statement and it'll be seen as representative of the company. Don't register on channels without prior consent. Don't use company names or branding or logos if you don't have permission to do so. So how can you keep track of employees' online contributions and who can help you? Well, there are all sorts of sources of help. Professional bodies are an excellent guide. So people like the Institute of Public Relations, people like the Institute of Personnel and Development, all good sources of information and advice. Other organisations, your trade associations, your chambers of commerce, Federation of Small Business will also give excellent advice on formulating policy in general. And of course, what a surprise, especially training and consultancy organisations like my own, able to come in and give you that kind of one-to-one support so that you can draw up an effective and robust policy that, that stands the test of time and actually enables you to take advantage of social media in a safe and secure way.
A lot of people say, what on earth is a CIC? What is a social enterprise? And there are lots of myths and conclusions drawn about what a social enterprise is. And I want to just spend a few minutes beginning by saying what it's not. We don't all rattle tins. If we call ourselves a social enterprise, we don't all rattle tins. We're not all lottery funded. It doesn't mean that we employ large groups of young people, and neither does it mean that we necessarily employ people with disabilities. But they are some of the common misconceptions that people match with social enterprises. Do you deal with a social enterprise? Does a social enterprise come in your business to business? Do you shop at the co-op? They are a social enterprise. Have you ever visited the Eden Project? Again, a business which is a social enterprise. Jamie Oliver, we know that face. His business 15, the restaurant chain 15, and that project is a social business. In today's climate, how do we make our businesses sustainable? We all want to be here meeting and networking in another 10 years' time. And if we look at the growth of business market, we see a decline, particularly in small businesses and in business profits, not in the social sector. The numbers of newly registered social enterprises increase month on month. And that's because of their one unique factor, which is that they exist for social and environmental impact. So a social enterprise is a business. It is a real business. It is a business that exists to make a profit. If a charity doesn't make a profit, it doesn't exist. So as a leader of a social enterprise, I would urge you to consider working with social enterprises which are viable and profitable businesses. My business, Line Skills, as I say, was established last March, and as a community interest company, we have to report to the community interest regulator. Now they govern us by two things. One is an asset lock. Any assets of the business are locked into the company. They're not owned by the directors. And hence, it is possible for us to apply for grant funding because the assets that we may acquire with that are locked into the company and cannot be distributed. Should the company be wound up, they have to be passed on within the sector. We are a training provider, a commercial training provider like any other out there. But the difference being that purchasing training from us, you are contributing to a corporate social responsibility. Any surpluses from the business are reinvested in providing training for those who care for others. Our particular interest is around family carers, for whom there's a huge inequality about the training that they can access in comparison with those who maybe are employed within residential care homes. We were awarded the Social Enterprise Mark. You may come across lots of organisations that call themselves social enterprises, but do check it out. If they are really a social enterprise, then they may be a member of Social Enterprise UK and they may be carrying the Social Enterprise Mark. This means that you can be assured that their structure, their legal structure, is about their social commitment as opposed to it being something that is just words.
We are a family-based business. We're based out of Clacton. We've worked in Ipswich for about 15 years plus. The company's been running about 36 years now. Health and safety in your workplace. Your fire signage, for instance, in here. Where's your exits? Where are we going to leave the building in case there was a fire? You've got push bar signs down on doors, fire exit signs around. As from 2013, all the signage laws changed. So where you've got your little man with an arrow down running to the fridge, that's going to change. You've got to have the running man in the door with the words. If you're anything to do with the NHS, you're completely different. You have a separate sign which has got flames on the side of it as well. At the end of the day, it's best practice. So if you put into your risk assessments, and you should be doing through the RRO, you say, my staff know what this signage means, and it's there, it covers you. But they would like you to change that information or try and bring it up to date as and when you can. So it's something you've got to keep in the back of your mind to do. Regarding fire extinguishers, bits and pieces like that for in your workplace, one is, a lot of you will probably say, well, my staff, I just tell them to get out of the building and leave it. The fires are the fire departments to deal with. That's fine, but what if the fire exits are blocked? Are your extinguishers serviced? Are they hanging on the wall? Are they marked? Do your staff have a basic knowledge of it? You need to know that the people that you're using to service your fire alarms, service your intruder alarms and extinguishers are actually registered, because a lot of people are just putting the marks up. Nobody checks it. You've got your major companies, the big boys of the industry, Chubb being the main one. Obviously you know that they're there, that's their name, that's their job. But there's a lot of people out there, and quite large companies, that aren't registered. So again, with GCS, we do everything by the book. We do the training, all of our guys are manual handling, all the guys are CRS, CSCS cards, and CRB checked, which, as far as I'm aware, in our area, tendering, we are the only company that have put all of our engineers through, have got their CBR checks, basically. The Facebook and Twitter thing is fantastic. I love it. GCS use it all the time. But it really annoys me when somebody puts on their Twitter page or on their Facebook page, I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks. Right, and you go, oh, fantastic, where do they live? We'll go and do their place over. At Christmas time, we had this thing in Clacton. We had 4 houses all in a row, all broken into Christmas. They took all the presents. And the only people I blame is the people in the house, which may be wrong. But they've got this nice big bow window, they've got a Christmas tree sitting in the front, and it's full of presents. And you drive past and you think, oh, they're lovely, I wonder what they're in there. And then the first thing they do is they unwrap all their presents and they throw all the boxes out the front of the house. And everybody knows exactly what you've just got for Christmas. Oh, there's Xbox there, there's got a nice 42-inch Christmas screen there. Everybody does it. Make sure, like I said, this was obviously pre-Christmas. So it was put all your boxes and everything. Make sure, think about what you're doing. Look at the rubbish you're throwing out. Because as soon as you buy yourself a new laptop, that Acer box goes outside with the rubbish bin and sits there. Somebody knows exactly what's in your property then. Don't do it. Keep it, take it down, tip yourself, turn the boxes inside out. Make sure people don't know what you're putting in your house. Right? There's a new loan work policy, 1st of February, it was released. That's just linked to your mobile phone, no third-party devices. If you're going into a situation or you're at a situation where you could be overcome by somebody, bank managers opening up in the morning, something like that, you press button 3 on your mobile phone. It puts you on a tracking system so they can see exactly where you are and what you're doing. It's completely independent. You press 3 again, it turns it off, nobody can see where you are. You press button 6 on your phone and leave a voice message. I'm going into Mr. Clark's house, or I'm going to work because the alarm's activated. I should only be 30 minutes. After 30 minutes you'll get a text message. That text message will then say, are you okay? Respond to me. If it doesn't, the police are called and you've got response. Or you press button 9, somebody's attacked me, or there's a problem, I'm falling over. It's just assigned to any mobile phone. It doesn't have to be a smartphone, it could be any Nokia phone, any type of phone that you've got, and it works out around about £10 a month.